Hey guys, in today's video we have whistleblowers into what Doge has been doing with all the sensitive data that they've been taking. Now, in this particular case, we're talking about the National Labor Relations Board, but I kind of get the feeling this is what they're doing all over the place. So first of all, let's just recap what Doge is. It's the Department of Government Efficiency. It's claiming to have saved $160 billion so far. Now, we know that the accounting on this has been terrible. They're also posting that it's $993 saved per taxpayer, which is 161 million people, which seems a little light to me. I didn't really look at it, but okay, maybe only half the country is paying taxes. And remember that they had offered to give 20% of that back. So even with the inflated, what they say they've found, which just from the walls of receipts and the amount of times they've had to take it down, this is probably high. Okay. But yeah, each person would get a check for like 190 something dollars, $195. So, so far not such a great, accomplishment, and you can really see it here when you compare Biden's spending to Trump's spending to date. And Trump is $154 billion higher than where Biden was. So if they were saving this 160 billion, and now mind you, a lot of this is over 10 years. Okay, so it might take 10 years because they're even some of the stuff is like buildings that they want to give up, that they want to sell, stuff like that haven't sold or been leased yet. That they've vacated. So anyways, it's a far-fetched number. But I found this clip where Mehdi Hassan really breaks down what Doge is. And
itself. Let me deal with them.
Let's
my show about why we should deal with the Pentagon, which fails an audit every year and wastes billions and trillions of dollars. Right? I want to deal with corporate welfare. I want to deal with people who have conned the government. Of course we do, but that is not what Doge is doing. Right? Doge is a joke, chaotic outfit. It claims to have found fraud, Piers, not just waste, fraud, and yet Dan gave me a lecture on precise terms. Fraud? Has anyone been charged with fraud? That's a crime. Elon Musk has found no fraud. Because if he had found fraud, people would be arrested or charged by the DOJ right now. We've seen no evidence of fraud. So that's been a lie from Musk. As for waste, you know this, Piers. You've talked about it on the show. $8 billion they claimed to have found. It was $8 million. They said they found $250 million of waste at the Social Security Administration. It was $500,000. They triple counted a $665 million contract. The Wall Street Journal, that lefty bastion, has found so many mistakes and exaggerations in what they found. They've been absolutely harming the US government. They got rid of people who were looking after nuclear weapons and then tried to hire them back. They got rid of people who were trying to fight Ebola and then tried to hire them back.
Right, I forgot about that. They fired the Ebola people and then tried to hire them back, the nuclear people and tried to hire them back. And there's actually been studies that say that the cuts that they've made are going to cost the taxpayer an additional 150 billion, somewhere in that neighborhood. So they're not saving any money.
They got rid of people who were trying to fight bird flu and then tried to hire them back. They fired veterans at the Department of Veterans Affairs who were manning the crisis line for veterans. Dan is a veteran, served the country, should be outraged. And then they tried to hire them back too. The whole thing is a disaster and a joke.
Yeah, so that was a pretty good synopsis of what Doge is. And this is one of Doge's hires, or Doge boys. I don't know what we're calling them. Muskrats. But, he was fired from a previous job for leaking company secrets. So this is Big Balls, youthful entourage, slicing its way through the federal government, was previously fired from an internship after being accused of leaking sensitive data to a competitor. The 19-year-old high school grad, Edward Korstein, also known online as Big Balls, was terminated for leaking internal information on competitors, according to a June 22 message. And as Wired previously reported, he also ran a company called Tesla Sexy, which controls dozens of web domains and offers AI chatbot services to the Russian market. Worse yet, he bragged about sharing company secrets on Discords, writing, "I had access to every single machine," in late 22, weeks after being fired. So, like, just to give you an idea of, who these people are that are going into these computers, right? So NPR came up with this reporting for this whistleblower and what Doge is actually doing with the data. Okay, so it's quite a lengthy article, but I'll just kind of give you some synopsis, and I highlighted some parts that I think are important. So this is the whistleblower right here. His name's Dan Baroulis. He came to the National Labor Board, Relations Board, because he wanted to serve his country. He wanted a government job. He wanted to serve, right? And he does IT down there. Okay, so Doge comes in the middle of the night, like how they often do, in a black SUV, accompanied by some sort of police force, right? And they come into the building. Okay, they demand like God access, so like full access to everything, and then they want to be left alone, and they want to make it untraceable. Okay, which is, as he goes on throughout the article to describe, like, it's just not the way things are done in government, right? It's just not the way things are done. And there's a reason, because nobody should have access to all the information. You just get access to the information that you need, right? So then he went back in and found out that they might have opened up a back door, right? And they created usernames and logins, and he's looking through his IT system, and he sees this spike in data that's going out, right? And he's like, oh, that's not right, like that's not supposed to happen, and come to look at it, it was actually a Russian IP address that was trying to hack in. And he even says, he's like, could it have been a VPN? 100% could have been a VPN. But just weird that you'd use, because especially coming into a government system, the Russian IP address is gonna trigger something, right? In the days after, Baroulis and his colleagues prepares a request for CISA's help in investigating the breach. Baroulis found printed letter taped to his door, which included threatening language, sensitive personal information, and an overhead picture of him walking his dog. So understand that, he was preparing an investigation to see what happened, what information got out, and somebody went and put a note on his door with threatening information, pictures of where he is. Like, this is straight mob boss stuff. If the underlying disclosure wasn't concerning enough, the targeted physical intimidation and surveillance of my client is. If this is happening to Mr. Baroulis, it's likely happening to others, and brings our nation more in line with authoritarian regimes than an open and free democracy. So that's his lawyer saying that, and I would totally agree. Okay. Someone had disabled the controls that would prevent insecure, unauthorized mobile devices from logging into the system without proper security settings. There was an interface exposed to the public internet, potentially allowing malicious actors to access the NLRB's systems. Internal alerting monitoring systems were found to be manually turned off. Multi-factor authentication was disabled, and Baroulis noticed that an unknown user exported a user roster, a file, contact information for outside lawyers who have worked with the NLRB. So like, and this is important too, because Elon Musk has companies that are under investigation by the National Labor Relations Board. And if they're taping, threatening messages to this guy for leaking it, how do you think that these people that now Elon Musk is fully aware that they've got a case against him? Like, how do you think they're going to get treated? It's going to be the exact same way, right? There are multiple ongoing cases involving Musk and the NLRB. For one, after a group of former SpaceX employees lodged a complaint with the NLRB, lawyers representing SpaceX, some of whom recently hired into government jobs, filed suit against the NLRB. They argue that the agency's structure is unconstitutional. Well, duh. Right? If the boss doesn't want to get inspected, well, what do? Right? The NLRB was created to guarantee workers' rights, to organize and to address problems that workers have in the workplace. And if you're the owner of the workplace, aka Elon Musk, that's exactly what you don't want, right? And that's what you're getting, right? So Doge is, whether they admit it or not, headed by somebody who is subject of active investigation and prosecution in this case. It is incredibly troubling. Yeah, because now he's got the inside lane. Right now he knows everything, exactly what they're going to come at him with at court, and might ruin these people's cases. Musk company XAI could also benefit from sucking up all the data that Doge has collected to train its algorithms, right? It's not a fight of imagination to see several Doge staffers release some sort of that data surreptitiously to Musk or to people close to him. Within minutes of Doge's access the NLRB system, someone with an IP address in Russia started trying to log in. Whoever it was attempting to log in was using one of the newly created Doge accounts, and the person had the correct username and password, according to Barulis. While it's possible the user was disguising their location, it's highly unlikely they'd appear to be coming from Russia if they wanted to avoid suspicion, right? This case has been particularly sensitive as it involves the possibility of sophisticated foreign intelligence gaining access to sensitive government systems, which is why we went to the Senate Intelligence Committee directly. Which, yeah, I totally agree with. They need to do that, right? One of the first people to speak out about Doge's access to sensitive data was Aaron Meyer, who resigned as Chief of Technology Officer at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. The CFPB has sensitive and potentially market-moving data. So if you're trading and, you're a rich guy, that's pretty good data to have, right? The entire reason we have a Privacy Act is that Congress realized 50 years ago that the federal government was just overflowing with information about normal, everyday people and needed some guardrails in place. The information silos are there for a reason. It's astonishing to me that the very people who not a handful of years ago were screaming about the government tracking us with vaccines now cheer feeding every piece of information about themselves into Elon Musk's stupid Skynet, which is so true. Barulis says he would have been fired for operating like Doge, right? And any normal government employee would have been fired. And that's the same thing. You see that with all throughout this Trump regime, right? Like with Hegseth, using the Signal chat, anybody at DNI, like State Department, if you were a low-level employee doing that kind of stuff, you'd get fired. But if you're part of their DEI or DUI hires, you're good. Barulis had simple requests for Doge engineers. Be transparent. If you have nothing to hide, don't delete the logs. Don't be covert. Be open. because that's what efficiency is really about. If it's all a huge misunderstanding, then just prove it. Put it out there. That's all I'm asking. That's a pretty reasonable request. So, guys, let me know, did this change your thoughts on Doge? Did you kind of already know they were hacking everybody? What do you think? And I'll see you guys on the next video.